I like how he paints this picture. We've got a very Chad, you know, sexually well-endowed, big penis, not exhausted, well-equipped. They've got like laser beams coming out of their fucking eyes, right? And then you've got the small-dicked soy redditor that is the Ukrainian art. Like the way he paints this picture, that is just clearly, like, to anyone with two eyeballs can see is not the case. And he just says it, and people just eat this shit up because they want to be told this. They just want to be told that the media is lying to them because they want to feel special, man. Every time, it's any day now the lines will collapse. Any day now Kiev will be captured. Soy, soy, soy. Don't worry, Kiev was a feint. And they'll keep saying it to the audience and they'll eat it up. Unironically, the pro-Russia crowd, like this guy right now, they're just the QAnon of foreign policy. Gonzo Lira is just the Q of foreign policy. Point blank, period. Red Pill. So Coach Red Pill went on to a program of an alt media type, George Galloway. I brought him in to talk about the war in Ukraine. Of course, that's the perspective that they want. They want the perspective that's going to give them a pro-Russia opinion. And, you know, just because you're alternative media does not mean you need to be mentally fucked completely. Can I just say that? If you are alt media, that does not mean you need to have like an alternatively functioning brain. Like your brain is off. You can still be a normal person and be alt media. I do want to say that out loud, okay? Watkins, on this page, if you want to know what you're looking for. Okay, but we got him on the main thing, so it's good. Okay, so I wanted to watch it because I wanted to see what the pro-Russia crowd were saying as Ukrainian troops are zeroing into Kherson. I want to see what he's saying.
From the streets of Kharkov, where the bombs and the missiles and the tank fire and the artillery shelling was actually audible in the background to the commentary he was given. He's in a much safer place now, but he's still very close to the action. And above all, he's got his ear to the ground and his eye on what might be the prize being the end of this carnage on both sides. And he joins me now. Gonzalo, thank you very much for joining us. I hope...
If you support the Russian position, you are in favor of the carnage. You're encouraging the carnage. I just want to be clear. If you're in favor of the Russian position or the invading army, you're in favor of the carnage. Very clear. George Galloway talks very strangely.
You can hear me. I can no longer see you on my screen. But
that can't just be because he's British, right? It might be. I might just be phobic.
If you can hear me, please take from me the salutation of our entire audience.
Okay, they're wearing hats inside when they don't need to. So I'm going to wear my sunglasses inside when I don't need to, okay? If we're all just going to be fashionistas today.
That was very worried about you for quite some considerable time and are delighted to see you alive and well now. Please accept my warmest greetings and turn, if you will, to the warning that you gave.
Why is he talking this way? Gonzo, I am very happy to see you are still alive and not killed by the SBU. Like, dude, come on, reel it in.
Just this week, that the Americans themselves are preparing to ditch President Zelensky.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And I'm a great admirer of you, George, and I will always be very thankful for you and all you've done for me. And you know what I'm talking about. So thank you. Now, insofar as the current situation in Ukraine is concerned.
Wait, was George Galloway a Labor MP and he got expelled? Really? Huh. I really do not know enough about the Brits. Okay, I don't keep track of the Brit bongers, man.
Well, it's so typical of the Americans, unfortunately, of the American foreign policy establishment.
Wow.
They use people, and when their usefulness is over, they throw them away in the most despicable and callous way imaginable. Now, it seems very clear that the war in Ukraine is going very, very badly for the Ukrainian armed forces. This is not to question the heroism or bravery of the men or their efforts.
If you hold this position this deep into the war, I'm trying to think of a word that's not retard, because like I don't want to use that word anymore. That's a word I used in my youth. That's inappropriate. It's offensive to the mentally disabled. So I'm just gonna call him a knuckle dragger. If you hold this position this far into the conflict, you're a brain dead, knuckle dragging, doorknob sucking, window licking moron. Okay. The original Russian war goals were to demilitarize Ukraine, quote unquote denazify, which meant like, expelling the government, expelling Zelensky, um, you know, stopping the expansion of NATO. They had all these goals. They had all these different goals that they put on the table of what they were aiming for to achieve in Ukraine. Ukraine is more militarized than ever. HIMAR ammunition and HIMARs being flooded into the country. 777 howitzers being flooded into the country. Tons and tons of weapons being flooded in. I actually have a graph, I think. I have a graph somewhere here that I can bring up to show people like how demilitarization has succeeded in Ukraine, how well that has succeeded if you're looking at it from a Russian perspective. Can I bring up? I think it's on my bookmarks. Here it is. So, for those of you who are curious, because again, one of the original goals for the Russians were to demilitarize Ukraine. Let's look at how Ukraine was militarized before and after the war. So, this is American foreign aid for a bunch of different countries. So, tell me if you can find out something here that stands out a little. If you can figure it out, what's standing out slightly. I can't even like have it all on. Okay, I have to move my face to have it all on screen. Does anything here stand out at all when you look at this image? Ever so slightly? To say that Ukraine has been successfully demilitarized would be a lie. And even Gonzo would have to acknowledge this. So that Russian war goal has obviously not been achieved because Ukraine is more militarized than ever. Okay? So that's the one thing. Okay? Pull that back. Next goal. Stopping NATO expansion. Finland and Sweden are in NATO. Finland having a giant border with Russia, meaning that idea of like, oh, we do not want a longer border with NATO. Too late, too bad. Looks like you have a longer border with NATO now. I think possibly even longer than if it would have been Ukraine. I don't know for sure, but it's certainly a long border. When it comes to regime change, that solidly has failed. Zelensky is still in power after 160 days of war. Yanukovych was flown into Belarus, but then he was flown back out because regime change never came. Those, parade uniforms that were packed in the back of tanks were burnt. They were not used. Okay, well, let's expand past the original war. Well, what about protecting? There was another original war, girl. Protecting the Russian speakers of Eastern Ukraine. How did that work? Did that succeed? Did they achieve that? Well, the biggest population within Ukraine that has been displaced have been the Russian speakers of Eastern Ukraine. It has also been the highest producer of refugees out of the country. Every single refugee I have interviewed has been from Eastern Ukraine. The people I met in Zaporozhye were all Russian speakers fighting the Russian army. Russian speakers are kind of rejecting the violence being inflicted upon them because whose homes are blowing up? The Russian speakers' homes. What civilian populations are being bombed in Russian shelling? The Russian speakers. And if you were to disregard like the war crimes or the terrible, terrible destruction Russia has brought to the Russian speakers of Ukraine and say, well, he didn't mean like when they said bringing, like saving the Russian speakers of Ukraine, they didn't mean like actually caring about their conditions. What they meant was they were going to take this land. Okay. Have they taken Zaporozhye, a largely Russian-speaking city? No. What about Mykolaiv? What about Odessa? We know that's on the Russian agenda. Okay, no, they didn't do that. Okay, well, the Donbass, that's a simple one. No, Kramatorsk still holds, and I think Sloviansk still holds. I forget how to pronounce it. There's still a decent amount of Donetsk that has not been captured. So when somebody tells me, like, we're 160 days in, it took us 28 days to take Iraq. It was the occupation of Iraq that was a real disaster, not the conquering of Iraq, if we want to call it that. we shouldn't have launched the war. They haven't even captured the country. They haven't even gotten close to capture the country. They haven't gotten close to achieving any of their war goals. They haven't got air superiority over the country. What have they achieved? To say, oh, the Ukrainian army is in bad shape. The Ukrainian army, as of right now, has stopped the Russians from achieving a single one of their objectives that they set out in this war to do. When it comes to their original stated objectives. They've achieved things on the path to objectives, like capturing Mariupol or capturing the Luhansk Oblast. They haven't achieved any of their original objectives, or even many of the objectives that they put forward after the fact. The Izium Cauldron was a massive failure. So when I hear this stated by anyone, it's almost impossible for me to like hear it and be like, and treat them seriously. But, you know, it'll get 132,000 views because you're bringing the alternative truth-telling perspective that people are going to jerk you off for because, oh, it's something different than what the mainstream media is saying, so I can feel like a special snowflake who's being told the real truth that was restricted from me. That's why this stuff's popular. Anyway, let's continue.
On the contrary, the fact that they've lasted so long before the Russian onslaught is a testament to their bravery. But the fact is, and this is something that was obvious from the very beginning of this war, the Russian army is simply bigger, better prepared, better equipped, better led, both militarily and politically. And so they are winning. They are winning.
I don't know where they're winning. I mean, I don't know. Better led is probably the funniest.
Decisively. Now we are coming
decisively. What have they achieved? 160 days in, what the fuck have they achieved? What have they achieved, Gonzo?
The end of the Battle of the Donbass. At this time, the Russian army has chewed through all of the fortifications that the Ukrainian armed forces had developed over the past 8 years, and they are about to hit the Kramatorsk line, which is the last line of this battle, because it's been a series of lines that protect the Ukrainian armed forces.
Let's say that they take Kramatorsk, which I'm not even going to necessarily give them that they're going to take Kramatorsk. I was there. I think they're going to defend it hard. What then? What did they achieve? Like, seriously, what did they achieve? Because that wasn't even one of the original objectives they stated at the start of the war. It wasn't. Their original objectives have just been completely thrown into the air as almost impossible to achieve, like, standards. So what are they going to achieve there? And by the way, what is he going to talk about? Like, when is he going to talk about, like, honestly, this Kherson counteroffensive? When is he going to do it? When is he going to honestly approach it? Like, if we look at the live map right now, like, listening to these people is like listening to people in another world. They're just like in a completely different universe. Like, look how close they are. Look at all this. You see all this blue? They've taken all of this back. They're getting closer and closer, man. Like, come on, it's so obvious. It's in a dangerous predicament. Like, this is what it sounds like outside of the city of Kherson right now. This is just, how long ago was this? This was taken 4 hours ago.
Хера себе. Все загудело.
And somebody brought up something good in chat, by the way, that the map that I'm showing you is terribly out of date because there's a media blackout around Kherson. I should probably keep my mouth shut. Never mind. I don't know anything. I'm just a crazy foreigner. I don't know anything. Okay? I don't know anything. Don't worry about it. Anyway, look, all I'm saying is there's a reason why I'm saying I think they're gonna take it. Okay? Like, but I'll keep my mouth shut. Okay, moving and shaking. CIA ain't real. Where were we? We were right here. Let's listen to some more of this.
And that have held back the Russians. And the Russians have been relentlessly chewing through these lines, and they're getting to the last one. And of course, by this point, the Ukrainian armed forces have been denigrated.
Can't wait to hear him rationalize why the city of Hirosan fell. It's gonna be, well, you know, in a moment of great hospitality, the Russian army decided that Hirosan really, you know, was not needed in the near term, and so they gave it as a gift to the Ukrainian people so they could pursue a ceasefire for the diplomatic means of keeping the Slavic people united. It's gonna be some fucking dumbass bullshit like that. Like, he's gonna find some way to weasel out of it, pushing up his glasses the whole time. Come on, man.
By the onslaught of the Russian armed forces. And the Russian armed forces are fresh and tidy and looking very good and very crisp because they're constantly rotated. You know, sometimes the Russians will put in a unit for...
By the way, can I just say, they should be rotated more, because the stories I'm hearing are like, can I please leave? Can I go now? Like, I would like to leave. And then they'll just, like, the Russian command will be like, oh yeah, don't worry, in 2 weeks. Like, 2 weeks will pass. Okay. No, don't worry, another 2 weeks. Like, they're trying to keep the people who are trying to, like, fucking frantically flee out of the country in. They're, like, holding them as hard as possible because their manpower shortages are so bad. So they're just, like, piling up the bureaucracies for as long as possible as they can keep these people stuck in the country, stuck in Ukraine. Because they have massive manpower shortages. You think that Russia is offering $3,800 a month for its soldiers out of just pure kindness? That's massive. That's fucking a massive payday, man. That is not what usually Russia... And that's on top of an enlistment fee. And then they're giving them like 30 days of training and then sending them into Ukraine to be fucking torn to shreds. And you're going to look at that and say, Russia's just offering that because they're economically, you know, they really support the troops. Fuck off! That's a massive burden, not only on the Russian government itself, like the central government, but on the localities who are going to have to partially pay for the enlistment fee. They're like spreading out the cost to local governments across Russia, man. Like, nah, man, the manpower, they've got, dude, morale in the Russian army is anything but high, I can tell you that much, my God.
Barely a day of combat and then pull them out and replace them with fresh troops. And so this, of course, means that the Russians always have fresh, rested...
A day of combat. Okay, sure, buddy.
Well-equipped troops.
This is not true. Everything he's saying is a lie. The Russians always have well-rested, well-equipped troops. Dude, we saw them with fucking Mois and Nuggets, man. Like, fucking, I'm not pronouncing it right, but dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, we see the photos. Like, get the fuck, dude. Shit, we see them in the fucking Z Scooby-Doo mobile. They're literally being dragged around. These soldiers are getting dragged around in literal dumpsters. And I mean that. They're getting dragged around in the back of fucking trash receptacles. As in, like dumpster trucks. And you're gonna tell me that that's well-equipped. They're sending these people into a fucking meat grinder.
Confronting a very weary, very exhausted Ukrainian armed force.
I like how he paints this picture. We've got a very Chad, you know, sexually well-endowed, big penis, not exhausted, well-equipped. They've got like laser beams coming out of their fucking eyes, right? And then you've got the small-dicked soy redditor that is the Ukrainian art. Like, the way he paints this picture, that is just clearly, like, to anyone with 2 eyeballs can see is not the case. And he just says it. And people just eat this shit up because they want to be told this. They just want to be told that the media is lying to them because they want to feel special, man.
And so the inevitability is arriving, which is the complete collapse of the Ukrainian armed forces, which...
The Ukrainian armed forces is more powerful now than it has been at any other stage in the war. I am pretty confident in saying that. They have more means, they have more advanced weapons, they have more people deployed out, they're training more people constantly, they're launching a counteroffensive to recapture Kherson. Like every time, it's any day now, the lines will collapse. Any day now, Kiev will be captured. Soy, soy, soy. Don't worry, Kiev was a feint. And they'll keep saying it to the audience and they'll eat it up. Unironically, the pro-Russia crowd, like this guy right now, they're just the QAnon of foreign policy. Gonzo Lira is just the Q of foreign policy. Point blank, period. No matter what happens, they're just going to keep believing this inevitable thing that's never going to happen, where all the Ukrainian lines collapse, and the Russians are going to take fucking everything, and Kiev's going to fall. They're just a QAnon of foreign policy, man.
I want to insist, it is
They just said it's pure faith. Yeah, it's like a religion at this point.
not me besmirching in any way or belittling in any way the efforts of the Ukrainian armed forces. It's just the reality on the ground. The Russians are winning.
It isn't the reality on the ground. I can't talk to anybody. There's nobody I've talked to that share that this is the reality on the ground. Nobody. Like, he says this because he's just sitting in a fucking apartment somewhere, not going across the country. Where did he visit the front line? Is he there? Is he in Kramatorsk? Go to Kramatorsk, you fucking loser. Go there. If you're gonna make claims about it, you can go. Get an MOD pass. Go there. Stop fucking making these claims out of your apartment like you've been across the country talking to all the soldiers. You're just fucking regurgitating state propaganda. You fucking moron.
Anybody who says otherwise is just fooling themselves. The HIMARS, which are...
Dude, this fucking loser. Look at him. Anybody... Oh my god, I'm gonna let him go.
These multiple rocket launch systems that everybody keeps talking about. This is wonder weapon, pie in the sky thinking.
Dude, the thing is, this is like talking, like when people say this is a wonder weapon. It isn't a wonder weapon. We see it working. The wonder weapons were like those, like, you can talk about like these, like the rifle, like the rifles that were bent at the end so you could shoot around close corners that the Germans were using. Or you could talk about certain crazy jet programs. None of these ever manifested, and none of them had a tangible impact. That's what made them wonder weapons. They never came out, they never did anything, they never had an impact. The HIMARS are having an active impact right now, and the Russians are staging war crimes. Well, they commit their own war crimes, but then they accuse it on the Ukrainians, like the executions of the Azovstal POWs that they did, in order to discourage more HIMARS being sent. The Russians are really angry about the HIMARS being sent because they're killing their soldiers left and right and destroying their logistical lines. And we can see it's having a tangible impact as less and less and less Russian artillery is being used, and it's busting up their ammo depots. Like, if you shoot so much artillery for so long, fuck up your artillery pieces, and have your ammo depots destroyed when you're already having problems with the logistics, not to mention the saboteurs that they're having to deal with and the partisans. Like, yeah, it's gonna have a tangible impact. You can't call it a wonder weapon when I'm watching it blow up your shit. It's not a wonder weapon when every day I get like 20 videos of your ammo depots blowing up. It's not a wonder. I see it having a tangible impact. This would be like watching the British Empire invade Africa and saying, "Oh, you think the rifle is gonna have an impact here? Like a big impact?" Yeah, wonder weapon behavior. Really? Come on, the spear has always been old reliable. Simple, easy thrust, easy stabarinos. Like, old reliable, worked for thousands of years. Now you're coming in here with this dumb fucking retard gunpowder shit. I'm talking in his terms. I would never use the word R-slur, okay? But I'm talking in Gonzo's terms. You're coming here with this dumb gunpowder stuff and this lead or whatever. Nah. It's an old stabby boy. It's gonna work forever. The Zulus lost, man. Not that they should have. Sovereignty for Africa. But the Zulus lost. Why? Technology. Like, this is the most advanced multiple launch rocket system in all of Ukraine. It's working. It's very effective.
The number of HIMARS being sent to the Ukraine front are just minimal, trivial. They've sent 20. What the Ukrainians would actually need to be combat effective is maybe 10 times, maybe 15 times that number.
15 times. We should send them more, but this is ridiculous. Like, he's making the barrier for success for Ukrainians like so insanely high, but then like the Russians will take like one village on like around Donbass or something. He'll take like a single village and say, "Great, a Russian victory, one step closer to liberation, brother." But then he'll ignore 50 villages being taken Kherson, or that the HIMAR can do anything. His brain is the size of a fucking walnut.
I'm talking 200 to 300 HIMARS, not 20. And on top of that, of the 20 that they've sent, the Russians have definitively destroyed at least 4.
That's not true, you fucking liar. Do you want to see? This is like the footage. The footage they bring of them destroying HIMARS look like the Loch Ness Monster pics. Unironically, have you guys seen the footage? Have you guys seen the footage of the HIMARS being destroyed? He's saying it's definitively. This is like the footage we get out of it, okay? It's like shit like this, okay? It's like, oh, okay, well, HIMAR was destroyed. One of the pictures of the HIMAR being destroyed was literally just a truck. One of the other photo videos that came out of like HIMARs being destroyed was, and again, it's like the whole truck is not the HIMAR. The HIMAR is something you attach to the back of it. The second thing, it was a strike on the like third floor of a building, meaning that you would be suggesting that this multiple ton vehicle was somehow moved onto the third floor of a building to be struck. Like, I think Laser Pig actually in his recent video, like actually like talked about this. We watched it yesterday. I just want to bring, I have to bring it up. I have to bring it up about the HIMARS being destroyed, because he keeps, this is a talking point that's just a lie. They've destroyed definitively 0 that we have evidence of. Is there any, do you guys know, does anybody have the footage of them supposedly destroying the HIMARS? One of the photos that was being shared around of a HIMAR being destroyed was from the video game Command and Conquer. This shit is, it's ridiculous. Like one of the video, like, it was like, oh look, there's a HIMAR destroyed. It was from a fucking strategy video game. No HIMARs have been destroyed. To say any of them have been destroyed at this point is just lying, and definitely saying definitively. Jesus.
And possibly from accounts, an additional 2 more as of today.
That's not true, you liar. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. You can't say anything truthful. Just say anything truthful.
It doesn't really.
Is this it? It getting destroyed? Yeah, here's them destroying the HIMAR. Look at this. You can't see anything. What the fuck is this? Like, this is like just one of like the 50 videos they've released of different like blurry ass whatever the fuck, right? What was that old Bigfoot video? You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah, this is Shoigu. Yeah, this fucking, of course the Russians are claiming they destroyed it, but it's just not true. It's just not true. The Pentagon came out and they've said it's not true. You don't need to believe the Pentagon. Like, the Pentagon could be lying, of course. But we don't have any evidence of it, man. Do we have the original Bigfoot video? Here it is.
At that point, I knew it wasn't a bear. Give me the camera.
What the fuck is that? I'm sorry, that is, nah, okay. But you know, you guys want to talk about that blurry ass Bigfoot video that we all know is fake as fuck. It's just some dude in a suit. That's definitely a Bigfoot, bro. We all know it. Definitive proof Bigfoot exists.
Matter. The truth is that the Russians are winning. And so
Not
what's
true.
going to happen is that, see, there will come.
It's like 1944. Final victory is around the corner. The Russians certainly will not take Smolensk. Oh, they took Smolensk. Well, we gave it to them as an act of goodwill. It was a tactical retreat. It's like, okay, buddy. Okay. Each week, it's going to get worse. Look, the American soldiers are just relaxing on the beaches of Normandy, okay? Don't worry, okay? Don't worry. They're just relaxing. It's like a picnic. We're letting them relax after such a stressful ride over the Atlantic.
Come a tipping point in this conflict where the Ukrainian armed forces will simply collapse. And when that happens...
Dude, it's never gonna happen. It's like all those people, the dollar's gonna collapse, or the world economy's gonna collapse, the nukes are all gonna fall. It's like these, the end is near, the end is nigh, the end is coming, man. Come on, it's not. Like, get the fuck out of here. And you know it's not.
The Russian armed forces will sweep westward from the Donbass, from the Kherson area. They will sweep westward.
Dude, imagine the Ukrainian troops are basically at the, like almost at the gates of Kherson. That's like, they're almost there. They're like right there almost. And his thing is like, they're gonna sweep, man, any day now. Just wait another few seconds. Any day. Yeah, on day 300. On day 300 they're gonna take it. They're gonna take it on day 300.
The Donbass area, they will sweep towards Dnipropetrovsk, which is a city rather. When you're looking at the map of Ukraine, it's dead center the Russians will sweep towards that city, and they will probably overrun it. It's the third largest city in Ukraine. And in Kherson to the south, which is just north of the Crimean Peninsula, they will probably attack Nikolaev and sweep westward towards Transnistria.
Dude, he's just border goring right now. He's just making up this is just a fan fiction. What is he talking about? Okay, to be clear, let's look at the live map again. Okay, again, it's inaccurate. It's not the perfect map, but it's the one everybody uses, so I use it as well. So what he's talking about is that the Ukrainians are pushing this way right now. They're like at the gates of the city, right? They're bombing in the area. We see the explosions. We just showed the video, right? They're going to push in this direction. They're then going to take Mykolaiv. After they take Mykolaiv, they're going to keep sweeping westward. And then they're going to sweep, capture all of Odessa. And then after capture all of Odessa, they're going to keep sweep. And then they're going to get to Transnistria, where they're going to meet up with Russian troops. And then they're going to invade Berlin. And then fucking Spain. And get the fuck out of here, okay? Dude, reel it in, okay? At least, like, if I was him, I would concentrate on actual, like, possible achievable goals. I would be talking about Slovensk. I would be talking about Kramatorsk. I would be talking about these other locations. I would not be coming up with these fantasies, which are never going to happen. Because what is he going to do when the war's over and none of this is captured? What's going to be his excuse? What is he going to say? Like, this war will eventually end. And what will he say when it hasn't been captured? Careful, the Russians are going to be in Washington by December. True.
They will probably ignore Odessa, because Odessa is a historically and for religious reasons a very important city to the Russians. And it's already been clear the Russians have telegraphed their intention of taking Odessa one way or the other. But it is unlikely that they will carry out an assault on the city because they don't want to damage it.
Dude, you're right. The Russian army is known for its kindness. You know, they're known for its kindness. No, I agree with them. They're not going to take an assault on the city, not out of kindness, but out of an ability of not having an ability to take the city. Is that what he's going to say? Like, well, they gave them Kherson because they just didn't want to struggle with these barbaric Ukrainians.
Because of the historical importance that the city has. And so what they'll probably do is,
yeah, they literally burnt down Moscow to fuck over Napoleon, but they're not gonna attack Odessa. So why are they striking the ports and killing civilians in Odessa in strikes? Like, what do you mean? And what about all the religious sites that they've damaged in the historic churches from like 400, 500 years of history that have been destroyed? Like, come on, man. Like, this propaganda is silly.
Is simply surround it. They will make a dash for Transnistria, cut off Odessa from the north, from Kiev, and just wait it out, because time...
Dude, he should play Hoi 4, because that's the only way any of this shit's ever gonna happen. He needs to play like Hearts of Iron or some shit. He's not... He needs to just like get like some crayons in the map, and that's the only way it's ever gonna happen. My God. I'm looking at the map behind me and just trying to imagine, like, how would this happen? Like, they would have to, like... So they would need to stop this Ukrainian counteroffensive, neutralize the HIMARS that are fucking up all their ammo depots, actually neutralize them, not fake neutralize them like he's been talking about. Then they would need to launch a counteroffensive, take Mykolaiv. I don't know how, they tried to and they failed earlier in the war. Then they take Mykolaiv, then they cut off Odessa. They surround the city, but they don't capture it. Then they move up this way and then liberate the area around Transnistria. Liberate, using his words. And then, like, dude, like, none of this is gonna happen. Like, this is all fantasy, man. Like, I'm just looking at it from this, like, map. It's so clear to see, like, this shit's impossible. It's not gonna happen.
Time is on the Russian side. And so what has been increasingly clear is that the West is realizing two things. Number one, they're realizing that NATO cannot match the Russians.
That's not true. NATO could easily match the Russians. What does that mean? They're doing it right now. I mean, they can't match them in the amount of artillery. I think that's like the one advantage the Russians have, and it's very clear that the Russians have that.
The Russians, in terms of
like in Ukraine, like if all of NATO versus Russia, Russia can't do shit. But besides like blow up the world. But like in Ukraine, like the amount of artillery is Russia's biggest advantage. Like their biggest advantage is basically just turning something into a cauldron, which is like they surround an area and then they just flatten it to the ground and kill anything that's like moving. And then they go in and take whatever is in there in the rubbles. But if they like NATO isn't involved directly. Like if NATO was involved directly, Russia'd be fucked. Outside of blowing up the whole world, of course. But NATO's involved more indirectly through the providing of aid.
their industrial output,
The reason why they want industrial output,
in terms of the amount of artillery pieces and munitions, they simply outclass the West.
What? You're telling me the entirety of the West, America is known as like a sleeping giant. If you poke it the wrong way, it will shit out 1 million guns, okay? 1 million artillery pieces. If America really was determined to, it could produce more artillery pieces than Russia has ever had in the entirety of its existence. America is an industrial behemoth when it comes to arms production. Always has been in the 21st century. And in most of the 20th century as well, man. Like, but then it's America plus all of NATO. Like, if they wanted to go into wartime production, they could match Russia. Like, it's not even like a question. It's just, I don't know if they want to. That's the question.
And this has been pointed out rather, by Western think tanks. The Western think tanks of the Royal Unified Society Institute, which is like the military think tank of Great Britain. There was a very interesting article called The Return of Industrial Warfare, where it was basically pointed out that the West, because of its deindustrialization policies of the last 30 years, which has hurt the working classes of the West so badly, well, precisely because of this deindustrialization, the West does not have the industry to arm its armies for
Deindustrialization, especially in the United States, did not affect the military-industrial complex. If America wanted to, it could produce fucking an insane military like output. Like I don't even think most Russian commentators would even pretend that the Russian output could ever match America's. They're right now having shortages because a lot of their modernization that Russia was trying to go on was like reliant on Western equipment and Western technology. And so that's why a lot of like these like modern weapons that Russia was trying to innovate with, like all of that is basically, it's in developmental hell and they haven't made any advancements on it. And so they've just done their best to like try to upgrade the Soviet equipment they do have with like cope cages and whatever they can put on it. Like, I'm sorry, man, but this is all delusion. He can't say anything truthful. Lol, it's CRP. Hello, Dylan. Dude, this guy is fucking wrong. In everything. Nick. He's wrong in everything. He can't say anything truthful. He just said that Russia can produce more than the entirety of NATO. What does that even mean? He thinks that because of what the fuck? If you poke America the wrong way, it will just shit out 1,000 tanks. America is known for just being able, if there's anything Americans are good at, it is just making weapons of destruction and death and horror, okay? That's like the one thing we're really fucking good at, is just making shit that kills shit. And he says that Russia, which has less of a GDP than California, would be able to produce more than the entirety of the West combined. He's unbelievably delusional. I don't understand it, Nick. I don't understand it. How he can talk, how this person can speak. Not to mention the authority he speaks of. This motherfucker hides in a fucking apartment in Kharkiv for fucking like 5 months, and he speaks as if he's interviewed soldiers on the front or fucking gone out there, and he's like, I'm back from Kramatorsk. He hasn't gone to anywhere in the whole fucking country, and he speaks with such authority. All he's doing, you want to know what his knowledge on the ground, because people say he's on the ground because he's in Ukraine. You want to know what his on the ground coverage has been for the last fucking 5 months? I was gonna look up Russia Today, but it's banned in Ukraine. Oh wow, this is some this is some good stuff. Oh shit. Oh shit. Ad block detect. Oh no. This is his on the ground coverage. Just sitting in his room, just like, wow, this is some good information, man. This is like yeah, man. Oh yeah. I'm really doing some on the ground research right now. I feel really on the ground. Yeah, man, I feel really on the ground. Wait, was that an artillery piece? Oh shit, let me go hide in my kitchen. Boom. That's his on the ground research. He's not doing shit. He's not like going out doing anything. All he's doing is constantly running the media circuit. And he has plenty of time to, because he's not going anywhere. He can go to get an MOD pass and go to Kramatorsk. Go! It's open right now. I just got back from it. Okay, this area where he's like, oh, they're gonna capture it. They're gonna capture it. I was just right here. In the fucking, like, right here, okay? I looked around. I talked to people. I did the whole thing. I did the thing, right? The city's a fortress. It's gonna take a lot of blood for the Russians to take it. I don't even necessarily think they can. Why can't he do that? He can go do it, you fucking pussy. Stop hanging out in your apartment. Jesus Christ. Sorry, it's so angering to see him just say things that are so wrong with such authority. Like, all these HIMARS have been destroyed, and then you'll look at this footage of the HIMAR being destroyed, and you'll go and it's footage from a literal video game, and he'll pretend that's footage of a HIMAR being destroyed. Unironically, the dumbest person in foreign policy. Again, these pro-Russia shills are just a QAnon of foreign policy, man. The cops picked him up last time, Limfow. I think he's on house arrest. Oh my god. I wish. Because he's a Russian shill, he is doing this on purpose. I mean, yeah.
Forgive the malapropism. And so, therefore, the West simply cannot compete. If they were to go a head-to-head war with the Russians, they would run out of ammunition. The West.
Listen to this shit. Are you kidding me? Dude, I can't walk into a school without seeing bullets fly past my head. And you think we're gonna run out of ammo? He is literally mentally deficient. How does he say these things? How does anyone believe him?
West would run out of ammunition in about 2 months.
2 months? What the fuck is he saying? I'm squeaking. I'm becoming a squeaker. He's just so unbelievably disconnected. Dude, we have enough ammunition to just like fire endlessly forever. The United States does. If there is anything we can produce, it's ammo and guns. We have one of the most we have the largest and most productive. Who is the biggest gun manufacturer in the world? What country produces the most guns? What country? What is it gonna say? Want to take a guess? With $10 billion worth of weapons export, the USA is the world's largest exporter. Not only that, but American fire manufacturers and aftermarket companies continue to push the envelopes in technological developments. Wow, what a big surprise. Who would have thought? What country creates the most weapons? The United States at 39%. Fucking, what is that? Almost double the Russians. No, that is literally double. We produce double what the Russians do alone. And you're gonna do America, France, Germany. Germany has a weird like weapons market. It's crazy. The UK, Spain, Finland, Sweden, Norway, like all of them. Poland. Like it took us 28 days to take over Iraq. The occupation was the big problem when it came to the Iraq invasion. We shouldn't have done it in the first place, of course. It's day 160, and you're gonna come out with bellicose claims like this, man. It's like the Germans, 1945. Any day now, Moscow's gonna fall. Come on, man. Come on. This is completely. I'm sorry, man. I don't even know. Nicholas, are you still there? Nicholas. Has he always been like this? Because I didn't know anything about him until, like, he got into foreign policy.
With no possibility of resupply. The famous saying by Stalin that quantity has a quality all its own. It's very true of the current situation, of the current conflict.
We produce double what the Russians can produce in any day of the week, okay?
And so NATO, the West, is realizing they cannot fight against the Russians, so they won't. And the war is lost.
The West has realized the war is lost. Okay. That's why we continue to funnel weapons into Ukraine. Brilliant. Very smart analysis, Gonzo. Nothing you've said is correct.
And so it seems increasingly clear that
has he said anything that's true this entire time? I don't think he said a single thing that is accurate and truthful the entire time.
Position of Zelensky in Kiev is becoming untenable. There have already been signs, excuse me, that his position is weakening with the West, and so I think what will happen is that.
What does that even mean? How?
The West will
what are the signs? Give evidence.
Begin to slowly withdraw its support.
It won't. If the West withdraw its support, it'll be for one reason, and it would be because of the incoming winter, and it would be Europe. It wouldn't be the United States. The United States is going to continue it basically no matter what. It would be Europe. But I mean, it seems that, in my opinion, it looks like, but we won't know until we're into the throes of winter, that Western support has so far held for Ukraine. So it's not going to be because the war's lost. It would purely be for selfish reasons. And that's why I think possible weakness in Western resolve is the only way Ukraine could lose. The only way Ukraine could lose is if the West turns its back on Ukraine.
In terms of money, in terms of equipment, please excuse me.
That we just agreed to another shipment of HIMARS, another shipment of 777 howitzers, another 75,000 rounds of ammunition for those howitzers. Like, why are we still sending them this equipment if we all know they're gonna lose? If we're sending them this high profile, high technological value, extremely expensive weapons, if we already know they're gonna lose?
Inflation here is rising, and you can see it in the exchange rate between the hryvnia, which is the Ukrainian currency, and the dollar and the euro. It's fallen 10% in the last 3 days.
You don't want to get into an economic argument. Russia's economy is fucked. The amount of Western companies that's fled the country and led to people being unemployed. Or you could talk about the contraction that their economy is going to go through, which is larger than I think any Western country that's going to have a contraction. Like, there's a reason why Russia is wants to reverse the sanctions immediately and is trying to put so much pressure on the West to reverse the sanctions, because it's having a heavy effect on their economy. A lot of the sanctions has also affected its ability to produce high technological weapons that is reliant on Western technology. A lot of their modernization programs were reliant on Western weapons deals because, again, like, I think Russia only accounts for 19% of the world's like weapons market, and a lot of that is not, the most high-tech stuff. A lot of older stuff. What is it? 423 million guns in America, 1 to 2 guns per person, 8.1 billion rounds of ammo. We have more ammunition. We have more ammunition in the United States than there are people on the planet. We could shoot every single person on the planet once and then just shoot into the sky for like 3 days still.
3 days ago, you could buy a dollar for 37.5 to 38 grivnas, and now it's at 41.5. So basically,
Wow.
about almost 10% in 3 days, which means, of course, that the Ukraine government, the Zelensky regime, is not getting the foreign currency necessary to keep the government of Ukraine afloat.
Okay, so it is true that Ukraine needs more foreign currency, but he's painting it as if the government's about to collapse. It isn't. Like, I went to the bank, they're like, hey, there's restrictions on the amount of currency you can withdraw in American. We don't really have a lot available right now. And I said, okay, and then I went about my day. It didn't cause a governmental collapse. The government's still stable, and the government's still popular, and the government's still supported. So the government's not going to collapse. Like, yeah, the Ukrainian economy is the economy suffering the most from the war because it's invaded, but the people are willing to deal with those conditions if it means, winning the war.
And so, these are various signs that are showing that the West is withdrawing its support. And
This is just not true. I mean, can we look at the graph again? Like, do we have the graph up? No, we don't have that graph up there. Where is the graph? It's the New York Times article I just had open. Like, okay, you see this graph on the right here? You see, those are all the years before support in 2022. This last line is the amount of aid we've sent Ukraine in 2022. The idea that we're like look at that shit. The idea that we're withdrawing support from Ukraine. This is Ukraine, like this one on the left is Afghanistan. These are all different countries. I think this one right here to the left of Ukraine is Israel. The idea that we're withdrawing support to Ukraine is fanciful. We're only increasing it as the war goes on. And now we're sending them more and more HIMARS because now we trust them to use them. The longer the war goes on, the more confidence we have that the government's not going to collapse. Like, we are anything but not confident in us sending our aid to Ukraine. We have really gone balls to the walls, so to speak.
the National Security Advisor of the United States, a man named Jacob Sullivan, a man of extraordinary incompetence and stupidity, quite frankly. Well,
him saying that makes me think the dude must be a genius. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't, he hasn't been right on a single thing, so I'm gonna assume Jacob Sullivan, like, has, like, a Pulitzer Prize and, like, is an astrophysicist. I don't know who this guy is, but maybe the name Sullivan rings a bell, but I'm thinking of Jake Sullivan.
has stated publicly that Zelensky should be concerned about his personal safety. Jake Sullivan is basically telegraphing the fact that the Americans are thinking of physically getting rid of Zelensky. And of course, they're counting.
What? We're not gonna assassinate Zelensky. What is the... How does he say this shit with a straight face? No, we're not gonna assassinate Zelensky. There's no indication that we're gonna assassinate Zelensky or we're going to get rid of Zelensky. This is just asinine. This is just wrong. There's no signals that that's gonna happen, okay? Source, I made it up. And plus, he like discredited his own source before using it to say that the Americans are thinking about neutralizing Zelensky. Dude, what is this? I'm sorry, man. This is so bad.
Couching it in the language that the Russians are going to do something to Zelensky, which has been a common pattern of the Western military political establishment, whereby...
Wow, maybe it's because Russia has a long history of political assassinations on Vladimir Putin's political opponents and people abroad with poisoning, and there's been multiple attempts on Zelensky's life by the Russian state and by saboteurs. Maybe that's why they would have some idea that people are trying to kill Zelensky, because he's a wartime leader. It's not that crazy, man. Come on.
They will often say that the Russians are planning to do something when it's in fact what they themselves are thinking of doing. And they're projecting...
We're not going to assassinate... Dude, this isn't going to happen, and we're not thinking about doing it. I'm so...
onto the Russians. This is a very common thing that people have noticed over the last year or so, where the Americans, the Europeans are thinking of something, and they project it onto the Russians. when they themselves are the ones who are planning such a thing.
Call for a debate. He would never in a million years debate me. No, and I would do it in person with him too. I will drive up to wherever he's house arrested and debate him. Okay? I will do it. I don't know where he is in Ukraine, but I can have a live in-person in Ukraine debate with Gonzo Lira and debate these issues. He would never accept it. Not in a million years. But I 100% would do it. Because nothing he said here, there isn't a single thing in the entirety of the 10 minutes he's been just rambling that has been true. The idea that the United States is signaling that it's going to get rid of Zelensky is insane. It has no basis in reality.
I think that's why I believe,
Well,
and I've said so publicly.
Yeah, you did say so publicly. I want to test that. It's worth the audience remembering that Zelensky is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian. Actually, his Ukrainian language is not that good. His native tongue is Russian. Number two, that Zelensky was elected on a peace platform. He was elected to make peace with Russia.
And the Russians couldn't make peace with a peace-centered candidate. What does that say about how the Russian government operates? If you can't make peace with a peace-centered candidate, then your government is bound for war. There's nothing you can do.
And thirdly, of course, I want to test your proposition because, of course, the Americans, as the DM brothers could testify, if the Americans hadn't had them rubbed out in Vietnam, you can be useful for America for a time, and then you can be killed.
Dude, they're not gonna kill Dude, you've got no thing backing this up. He's got some weird tenuous connection of somebody saying something that's not even saying what he's saying. He's just saying that by him saying that America is projecting that they want to kill Zelensky. There's no basis, no evidence. He's just saying that, well, I think when they say that the Russians are going to try to kill Zelensky, what they mean is that America's going to kill Zelensky. No evidence, no proof. Nothing. He just says it, and now, boom, it's sacrosanct. They just accept it and just move on. Great interviewer. He's just a yes man on the left here. Jesus Christ. Just because you're not mainstream media and you're alternative media does not mean that anybody else who is not mainstream media, you just need to eat up whatever bullshit they're feeding you at face value, okay? Just because you're alternative media does not mean you need to be brain dead and not accept the obvious truth in front of you and think there's a conspiracy under every single pillow.
The Americans could kill Zelensky. The Russians could kill Zelensky. But much more likely is that people within his own regime would kill him, either so that they could fill their pockets in the way that Zelensky has filled his, or because they have some vision that the war can be won differently from that pursued by Zelensky.
Okay, do you have any evidence of anybody in his cabinet or anybody in his administration who have drawn up plans, or there's hints, or there's any leaked files or any leaked document, like anything? You're just like, this is just anti-Zelensky fan fiction. You might as well just be saying, like, in the shower, washing yourself, speaking this into the shower head and debating your shampoo bottle. This is like, you need to show some evidence of this. You can't just throw the concept of political assassinations out there with zero evidence.
Explore those three possibilities, if you would.
Sure. Number one, it's never going to be the Russians, because the Russians, as many commentators have pointed out...
Wow, the Russians would never assassinate Zelensky. They would never do it. It would be the Americans or the Ukrainians. You know, dude, does he realize how silly he sounds outside of this insular bubble?
They need Zelensky to be the one to sign the peace agreement, the ceasefire.
No, they don't. They could get anybody who represents the Ukrainian government to sign the ceasefire. Literally anybody in Zelensky's position could sign a ceasefire agreement. He does not need to be Zelensky. If Zelensky was shot tomorrow, somebody else would take his place, and that person could sign a ceasefire agreement.
Fire agreement. Because the Russians...
There's been like so many attempts on Zelensky's life by the Russians. Like, it's not even I don't even remember them all.
See that eventually some ceasefire will have to be signed. And since Zelensky has so many people have validated Zelensky as the legitimate leader of Ukraine, the Russians need to have Zelensky sign that ceasefire agreement.
This is stupid. No, anybody could take his position. Many legitimate leaders of countries have been killed, and then after they're killed, somebody replaces them, and then they sign agreements. They are diplomats. When JFK was killed, it wasn't like for a year his replacement had to convince the world he was the real leader of America. He immediately was recognized as the real leader of America, and he signed treaties, did diplomatic missions. That's not how government works.
If the Russians wanted to kill Zelensky, and I'm not saying anything that people don't know, they could have killed him on the first day of the special military operation. It would have.
They achieved nothing on the first day of the special military operation. They were able to achieve none of their original goals. So the idea that they weren't able to kill the most important man in Ukraine, who's defended by the SBU and many other people, is not that far out there. They can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn. They can hit a bunch of civilian infrastructure. But the idea that they haven't been able to kill Zelensky yet, they just failed. They failed to do it. He projects as if Russians are gods. They're we're gods. They're gods amongst men, and we're just walking amongst them. If the Russians wanted to, they could annihilate the entire Ukrainian race, but by the will of God, they have decided not to because they're so nice. That at any moment, they could snap their fingers and Zelensky would just perish from the earth. And that there's no, bodyguards that could stop that, or no internal intelligence service that could stop that, or no spies within the Russian government or within the Russian establishment that could inform the Ukrainians. There's no secret hiding place he could be in. There's no evacuation routes he could take. There's no safety measures he could have personally. No body armor that could have saved him. Nothing. They just impossible. The Russians could have killed him first day of the war. Brilliant.
There'd been no trick at all because they know exactly where he is pretty much at all times because of their intelligence, both human intelligence and signal intelligence.
That's fucking stupid. No, they don't. They don't. They would have killed him. If killing Zelensky would have been a huge victory for the Russian government, they would have done it by now.
For the Russians, it would be no trick to kill Zelensky if they wanted to. The fact that he's alive means that the Russians want him alive. And it's very clear why. Because they want...
If you listen to him, it's just any scenario. The Russians are just amazing. And if they killed civilians, it's because they needed to. If they didn't, it's because they're amazing. If they didn't achieve something, it's because with the grace of God, they decided not to. If they did achieve something, it's because, inshallah, they're the greatest ever. Right? It's always just Russia number one, Russia number one, Russia number one, Russia infallible, Russia the best. Russia has more ammo than America. It's this shit's and Russia has more ammo than the entire West, can produce more ammo than the entire West. Russia is gonna not take Odessa because they're nice to Odessa and they don't want to capture it. They're gonna take Mykolaiv, they're gonna take Kharkiv, they're gonna take Kiev and Ri, they're gonna take the area to Transnistria, they're gonna encircle Odessa. This is ridiculous, man. This is a copium overdose. The reason he disappeared for all those days, we didn't know where he was, is because he was twitching out on his kitchen floor because he shot up too much copium. And now this is just him after the fact.
Him to be the man to sign the peace agreement. So it's not the Russians. Now, insofar as any internal coup that takes place to get rid of Zelensky and replace him would have to have the okay of the United States, not the Europeans. The Europeans are the chihuahuas in this story, okay?
Wow, amazing. They're the chihuahuas. Okay, great.
Big dog are the Americans, the people in the Pentagon and Foggy Bottom.
Man, even in the middle of Ukraine, we're still also American-centric.
Foggy Bottom.
MI5, MI6, worthless. America, Jesus Christ, America's God. Okay, great. But America could never outproduce in weapons than Russia, which again has a smaller GDP than California.
Where the State Department is. Well, those people are the ones who are supporting Zelensky. And any coup attempt against Zelensky would have to have the okay of the big dogs back in Washington. And so I don't think that, there's certainly a lot of palace intrigue, and there have been a lot of moves as of late of people getting replaced and then not replaced, fired and not fired. I'm talking specifically about the head of the SBU, the Ukrainian State Security Services, which the head of it was a childhood friend of Zelensky's, and he was fired by Zelensky. But then the next day, Zelensky walked it back and said, no, he wasn't fired. He was just suspended. You know, that kind of palace intrigue, we will never know the truth. And trying to read the tea leaves and figure out what's going on there, it's a fool's errand, because there are too many variables. We don't know what's really going on.
So why the fuck do you bring it up if you can't decode it, okay? So what happened is that Zelensky fired the head of the SBU, who is his former business partner, and as he noticed, I think his name like Ivan something, I forget his exact name, and is a childhood friend. The reason Zelensky said he fired him, which Gonzo is insane, is because he thinks that there's a possibility that there's more Russian infiltrators in the SBU than previously thought, and if he hasn't dealt with it, he needs somebody else to deal with it, and that he hasn't done a good enough job as head of the SBU, and maybe you shouldn't be hiring like childhood friends to head organizations when it's wartime and this organization is of extreme national security importance at the moment. He was suspended, which means that it needs to be reviewed by the Rada. He's been temporarily replaced, and the Rada will review it, which is Ukraine's legislative body. And if they approve it, then boom, he's been removed. But this is all during a probe and investigation. So we just have to wait.
All we can see are what the Americans are saying. And that is much more clear. And when the Americans put out a signal that Zelensky should watch himself, that the Russians want to kill him, that's because the Americans are thinking that. See, the Russians have no interest in getting.
This is silly. Like, well, when America says Russia wants to kill Zelensky, what they really meant was that they want to kill Zelensky. When my wife says she doesn't want to sleep with me, what she really meant is that she really wants to sleep with me, but she's too attracted to me, so that if she did sleep with me, she would die of exhaustion, so she has to contain herself. Like, dude, like you have no clue what you're talking about.
Getting rid of Zelensky, because it would cause for the Russians many more problems. Whereas the Americans...
Again, the only problem he mentioned was that it would now be more difficult to write a ceasefire agreement because this new leader of Ukraine would not be recognized as the international leader of Ukraine. Ridiculous. Number one, the Russians have attempted on Zelensky's life multiple times already. More than a dozen at least. And on top of that, like, whoever replaces Zelensky they would sign a ceasefire agreement in a heartbeat with. There's not going to be this big moment of like, wow, who's the real leader now? Oh my God, and they're going to like fight for like months or whatever. It's not going to happen. They would have somebody replace him. They have a system in place if something like that happened.
Might be thinking along the following lines. They might be thinking, look, Ukraine is lost. If we have Zelensky and his military leadership killed in a missile strike.
Dude, saying out loud Ukraine has lost right now is the biggest cope. This is just Trump won the election. This is just a reformed version of that.
That we ourselves do carry out, as we've done with other regimes. If we do it, and we blame the Russians, and we get the Western press on...
Look, he's already, like, designing it, because, like, there's, like, one of the ways the Russians could kill Zelensky would be a drone strike or some, like, missile strike. And so is he already preempting this to say, like, if it does happen and they do kill Zelensky, so he can just be like, look, it was actually the West who did it, not Russia. Amazing. It would be against all of the West's interest. It would make zero sense for them to do it. But because the West said Russia might do it, therefore the West will do it. Brilliant geopolitical analysis from the incel red pill guy.
Bored with this story and blame it all on the Russians. And we punt the entire Ukraine nation onto Russia's lap. A decapitated nation with no president, no military leadership, and all of a sudden, all of these soldiers, all of them armed, you have chaos, civil chaos.
He hasn't said a single productive thing for the entirety of this conversation. He said the only truthful thing he said was that the person that Zelensky fired was a childhood friend, which isn't even like a political statement. It is just the most basic of knowledge, right? He said nothing constructive. He said nothing correct. He has been wrong in every single one of his analyses, and not even just like somewhat wrong, just like wrong when it comes to like the most basic of information. This is humiliating, and it's also humiliating for the person who hosted him for not checking any of this and not fact checking him on anything. It's just sad.
Like a situation that happened in Libya. And we punt this whole problem into the lap of the Russians. Well, now that would solve a lot of America's problems very neatly now, wouldn't it? Because it would effectively become a huge problem for the Russians logistically to bring some sort of civil order to the Ukrainian nation. Do recall, Ukraine is the size of France, the size of Texas. It's enormous. It's an enormous piece of country. So to occupy it, to pacify it, you would need at least 250,000 soldiers, if not more. And I'm talking just soldiers just to be policing the place, not like a war, just to keep social order, okay? And so the Americans, it seems realistic to me with these comments made by Jake Sullivan, it seems realistic to think that they are
Oh, Jake Sullivan. He didn't even get his name right the first time. I was like, who the fuck is Jacob Sullivan? He meant Jake Sullivan. Jake Sullivan is the fucking national security advisor to the president of the United States. Jesus Christ.
entertaining the idea of assassinating Zelensky and his military leadership, blame it on the Russians, deliberately cause all kinds of civil unrest and anarchy within Ukraine, and have this become a permanent problem for Russia. They did something essentially similar.
He's just writing a fan fiction. He's writing a fan fiction right now. This isn't going to happen. It's never going to happen. Like, I could stand here all day and tell you why it isn't going to happen, but like, all you have to do is just sit here and wait and see. It's just not going to happen. Like, that's all I need to do. I just tell you it won't happen. You'll be like, maybe it will, maybe it won't, Dylan. Just wait. It just won't happen. Like, he's just writing a fan fiction right now. He hasn't shown any, like, planning or anything for the United States to engage in this type of strategy. You haven't seen any, like, thing from Jake Sullivan that would indicate that. Like, his proof for us conducting an assassination, or us considering an assassination against Zelensky, his proof for us considering that, and then trying to destabilize Ukraine, and then let Russia take Ukraine over, but then destabilizing the country so it'd be hard for them to pacify it, because of course it'd be a lot of partisans resisting against Russians, is that Jake Sullivan said that the Russians might assassinate Zelensky. That's his proof. It's nonsense. This entire fan fiction is built on nothing. It's the most ultimate trust me bro I've ever seen in my life.
In Libya, whereby they manufactured the killing of Gaddafi and turned Libya into a complete basket case. I mean, you know, we in the end of it, we literally have slave trading going on.
I mean, like, the conditions we hoped to create did lead to the death of Gaddafi, but we didn't order the death of Gaddafi. I do want to say that. Like, there is a difference there.
In the streets of Tripoli, for crying out loud, and all of Libya is just divided up between various warlords that are constantly fighting one another in complete chaos, right? And we have the Syrian situation where the Americans have done their utmost to create civil unrest and civil chaos, because ultimately the United States is the empire of chaos.
Wow, very brave, very stunning. The thing is, all these people he's talking about, both Gaddafi and Assad, the United States did support the rebels in Libya, and we supported the rebels in Syria with the CIA in Libya. No, the CIA in Syria, and with the Air Force in Libya. But the chaos was started by those regimes, by them cracking down hard on protesters, and those protesters, after years upon years of suppression, being pushed too far. And then there's army defections, and then chaos erupts, because authoritarianism is not the best way to long-term run a country if you're actually looking at stability. Eventually, you push people too far. The transfer of power in an authoritarian regime is a very risky period. And Gaddafi decided instead that he would crack down on protesters, and Assad pushed protesters too far in Syria as well. And then, boom, you had a rebellion. And then after that, America moved in, started finding ways to support the rebels, the FSA. And after there was already a rebellion against Gaddafi, that is when we started the air campaign in Libya.
where chaos rules because chaos benefits the United States. So that kind of gameplay seems reasonable. That kind of approach, which in fact has happened just now in Sri Lanka, where the Americans, the American NGOs, non-governmental organizations, all these green non-governmental organizations, created the conditions where now you have civil chaos in Sri Lanka, and soon you are going to have famines in Sri Lanka.
Dude, can I just say, the fact that he says it means I just don't believe it, because he's not been honest the entirety of this conversation. And so I'm in a position where I don't know anything about the situation in Sri Lanka, but now I'm just immediately now biased against what he just said because he said it. And that's the effect Gonzo Lira is having.
You know, a complete catastrophe, but this plays into the geostrategic goals of the United States, because instead of trying to raise up the United States, they find it more convenient to
Again, this whole spiel is based off of Jake Sullivan saying that the Russians want to kill Zelensky. This whole spiel. He's built this whole fanfic out of literally nothing.
Everybody down. And that seems to me why it's reasonable to think at this time, things can change, of course, but it's reasonable to think that the Americans are the ones planning to get rid of Zelensky, blame it on the Russians, and let Ukraine, or even push Ukraine, into total civil chaos.
This feels like a role-playing game. This feels like I'm playing geopolitical Dungeons and Dragons with Gonzo Lira here. This entire interview was so completely unserious, so completely uncommitted to truth, and he just said whatever he wanted with zero pushback from the host here. An embarrassing display from Gonzo Lira, and an embarrassing display from this former what you said George Galloway was a former Labor MP. Am I correct in saying that? No, George Galloway isn't a former Labor MP. Okay. Somebody gaslit me then. Got you. This man said one of the most brilliant invasions in military history. Okay, that's enough of this. Okay, that was a lot more content than I thought it would be. I didn't expect him to lie so consistently the entirety of that. Oh my god, that was crazy. He didn't there wasn't like a single truthful moment in the entirety of that interview. That was actually wild.